that's a whole season of rugby, and you're constantly seeing your friends prospering, they're doing their thing, they're going out, they're traveling. And it kind of takes a toll on you mentally.
Yeah.
But then again, back then I had a lot to worry about in terms of, you know, just being a young man. I'm barely 20 years old.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, you know, figure things out. So most of my worries were school.
Okay.
Yeah, so school really kept me occupied. I had very good friends in school, to be very fair.
Yeah.
And I also had teammates who were also in school who were also very good friends. So I wouldn't really say that I was alone
Isolated.
or fully isolated.
Yeah.
But there's just that feeling where, like, let's say, like today you came and visited me, but once you leave, then I realize, oh shit, I'm still alone. I'm still injured, and nothing changes for
There's something else you're missing out there. Out there.
Yeah. So I think that first experience really toughened me up. By the time I was doing my second surgery, I was pretty much knowing what to expect, and how to handle it. I had a few things I was doing here and there, so my mind was really more settled than the first time. So by the time I was retiring from active play in 2017, mentally I was at a good place. I had a meeting with myself and told myself, like, I think this is the end in terms of, you know, playing. And actually never thought I'd do anything in terms of physical fitness.
Okay.
Because I'd done it for, actually it's close to 20 years now, because I started being physically active at a very young age.
Okay.
Yeah, so by the time I was 10 years old, like I was actively in a team sports playing cricket. I actually just played cricket at first, then got into football, because football is just common around the hood.
Yeah, a history
So I have a history of sports. So by the time I was like, I'm done with this, I told myself, like, this is the last sport I was going to play.
You felt you had a whole career in
Yeah. It still is the last sport I've played, but I've been trying to do the calisthenics. We call ourselves calis athletes.
Okay.
So we do calisthenics, which is basically trying those handstands you get. You guys see me do the hand walks, you know, the body contortions. But with time, I've kind of changed my tune kidogo. So I'm looking, because as days have gone by and I've gotten more and more traction, I've realized guys want more of consultancy type of workouts, where they want to know, like, how can they improve their form doing something, how can they improve on, maybe they have a sort of pain on their knee, on their leg, maybe they have an injury and they're trying to recover from it. So I get queries where guys are asking me, like, yo, what can I do about this? What can I do about this? And to be very fair, when I was starting, I knew nothing about physical fitness apart from what I've been trained by other coaches.
Okay.
So I had to, like, learn a lot. I had to do a lot of research. Every time someone asked me something, and I was honest enough to tell them, like, I'm so new to this, I'm not very knowledgeable. But what I know is this has always worked for me. So most of the things I taught guys at first was out of experience. But in as much as teaching guys out of experience, I also learned a lot from their feedback and their queries.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I grew slowly by slowly until this one came about. Then boom, like, all of a sudden everyone is watching me.
So you've mentioned that when you had injuries and you were away from the field for like 8 months, there was a bit of stigma. I'd just like to know, is the stigma there when you retire from the game? Is the stigma still there? Do you still meet up with your teammates?
Are you still part of the community? Do you still actively participate in it despite not being a player? You know.
Yeah, is there like an alumni that these teams have where you can check in on your former teammates? Yeah. Is it still as difficult, or are you still part of the team?
Once you stop playing, first of all, one thing I need to mention is the stigma is more self-inflicted than
from other people.
From the environment you're in. Fans will always be fans, because you'll always meet someone who will tell you, like, well, Leisha, you're no longer as good as you used to be. But in real sense, it's just they love you and they kind of miss you.
Yeah.
And even when you sit down and have a conversation with them, like, hey, you guys used to rock us with your big hits, your big handles, really. But the stigma is more of just self-inflicted. You kind of sit down and tell myself, like, this is everything I knew. It's like I had invested so much in this, and in as much as I've traveled the world, I've seen a lot, but I still feel like it's incomplete.
Yeah.
I think for most sportsmen, that feeling of it being incomplete is the worst. And
not quite
and that's where most of the stigma comes in. So I always feel like I've retired and I haven't done a lot that I needed to do. And sometimes it's okay to feel that way. It's just a challenge having that mental strength to get over it.
And how did you overcome it personally?
Personally, the experiences in 2010 and 2012 really prepared me for that.
Yeah.
By the time I stopped playing, to me it wasn't really a big issue. I kind of missed the moments where you're on the pitch, everyone is cheering you, but it wasn't as tough for me as for most of my peers that I've seen struggle with that. Yeah, and then also the aspect of family. In 2017, I already had my 2 kids. In 2017, I already had my son. My daughter still wasn't thought of. Yeah. She's actually 2 years old. She was born in 2020. So 2017, when it started, when I actually quit playing rugby, I had my son around, and for the longest time, like, I felt like rugby had taken a lot of my time in terms of, I didn't have a lot of time doing the parenting bits and bonding with my son, in as much as I'm bonded with her. So I took a step back from rugby for a long time, for almost 2 years. Like, I rarely went for games, I rarely involved myself with anything to do with rugby, in as much as also in the club committee, handling player welfare. As I decided to handle player welfare because I felt like I was in a position where I could actually help players to deal with such issues, cope with challenges they're facing in life.
In a way that you could relate already.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also just I also wanted to promote fitness as a way of dealing with issues in life. Yeah. So for most players, what I realized is, even for myself, I started playing rugby actively and being serious about it because it gave me purpose. Like, I had something to do over the weekends. Like, during the week, in the evenings, when I had free time, it wasn't really free time, it was training time. So it kind of wired me into a routine where I had to do something over and over and over, and I got used to it. And I didn't have time to think about other vices, like alcohol, drug abuse, in as much as they're there, but you're much more focused than when you're not actively playing a sport.
Like you said, you had a purpose, at least. Yeah.
So those days where, in school, I actually went to SIU, and it has a reputation of being, full of happy and whatnot. So you'd be like, so for most sports, especially for rugby, Thursdays are when you name a squad. So Thursdays is when you should be at your peak best. Yeah. So for me, guys would be leaving class on Thursday to go drink, but you're focusing on, I need to make the squad for the weekend.
Yeah.
So what do? Unahepa hizi plans zingine. You rush to training, you make the squad so you can drink on Thursday, you can drink on Friday. You can only indulge on Saturday, and on Saturday it's kiasi because Sunday is family day, then Monday is back to work. So it kind of minimized that thirst for for always wanting to be part of the social scene and doing something that really isn't really helping you.
Anyway.
So in terms of just coping with not being able to be actively playing, was just more of, for me, I was lucky enough I actually think I was lucky enough to have gotten injured earlier in my career. Because if I wasn't injured, I'd have probably had a worse story than I'm telling you right now.
True.
And it's out of experience I'm also telling you, because I've seen guys not being able to handle that that inability to be back on the pitch. Yeah, so guys lose it, and
They spiral.
yeah, and the worst bit is once you start losing it, guys start avoiding you. Yeah, in as much as people want to understand you, but people try to avoid problems.
So the isolation that was just perceived becomes real isolation.
Now it becomes real isolation because, like, let's say, rugby is a sport where if you're popular, you'll definitely get a few packs here and there. So probably someone will come, maybe a prominent politician will come watch a game. Let's say your team wins, and then in that win there's a cash prize. You guys did not account for that. You hadn't planned on getting any cash rewards. But at the end of the game, you get like 10 G's, and you're like, you're a young lad, you're 20, 21 years old. Your house is being paid for. You're being catered for your needs. If you're in a good club, you're getting remunerated every month, about 20 to 30 G's in a month. So you kind of get used to a certain kind of lifestyle. Yeah. So once you're not able to perform, guys start forgetting about you. So once you're not in front of the cameras, guys start forgetting. So once in a while, they'll remember you. They'll see you at games. Maybe you unaweza kuwa tu yani uko na stress zako, so I'll tell you like, uko na shida hapa hivi. I'm not saying it's everyone, but most people, like, unapata msako na shida, and they'll always say, I need some money here and there. At first, guys will give you money because like they know you, they don't want you to struggle. But you'll find someone who's borrowing money, but they don't have like an active plan to get out of
nothing
that.
Sustainable.
Yeah, nothing sustainable. So it's constantly them asking for money. To an extent, they even forget that they already owe you money.
Yeah.
And it's very rampant in most sports. So it's not just rugby. That's something that also takes a toll in someone's mind. So you're used to it. Gets to a point where now people start avoiding it because of those habits.
Of course, yeah.
And you see, and that's why I'm saying, like, the stigma is more of self-inflicted than anything else, because you can see that you're getting out of hand, but because you feel like the people will always come through for you, you let it get out of hand. By the time you're trying to work on your reputation, guys want nothing to do with you. So that's the biggest challenge I think guys go through. For me, I was lucky enough. When I was actively playing, I was actually actively working as well. I've actually worked. I worked for LX when it was new, back in 2014. In 2016, I moved to Nation Media. So I did TV sales for about a year and a half. And then I moved to Eldoret where, like, I got a managerial job. I was heading a fast-moving consumer goods company. And for me, like, life was moving outside rugby. So even in 2017 when I was quitting, I still had something I was doing. In addition to the family setup, you have to take care of your wife, your kids, and just everything around your homestead. So for me, the transition wasn't really that hard because I had things set up in place. I wasn't really just an idler who had nothing else to do.
You had other things to focus on and other sources of income.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, it was easier transitioning from playing into just a raia, a kawaida guy out there.
What do you think is different about you that you were able to do that and transition so easily, and also have like things going on, like you had a backup plan? You had a plan for when rugby was no longer an option, right?
Yeah.
What is it that's different with you that, say, your peers or your former colleagues or people who've fallen off? What is it that they're not doing or that they didn't do, or how are they not prepared for that switch in career or that change?
First of all, I think there's lack of guidance. Most players, they only know how to win. Yeah, we're wired to know how to win, and even when we're losing matches, we're not thinking about it as such a big loss for us. Yeah. The challenge is now when you're losing in life and not just in rugby. So that's where the challenge comes in. Because guys are losing a game is a usual thing, but now losing the ability to be in that game is now what becomes a challenge, and it affects someone's mental well-being.